North Carolina has the weakest property rights protections in the country. Our state constitution is the only constitution that doesn't have what's called a takings clause. That means our state constitution doesn't expressly state that property can only be taken for a public use with just compensation being paid. So only constitution that says that. So very weak property rights protections. So we need an amendment regardless of the Kelo case. So that by itself. Second, there was an important North Carolina Supreme Court case not that long ago where the state Supreme Court, not the U.S. Supreme Court, held that the government could take private property, transfer an interest in that property to another private citizen, in that situation Federal Express, for its sole and exclusive use. The public had no right to use that property. So we need an amendment to just reverse that absurd holding in that case. So those are just two examples.
So we need an amendment. What does an amendment need to address?
A lot of things, but an amendment can be relatively simple. It doesn't have to be long. Here are just a few things. One is that the amendment should prohibit takings for all private uses. You know that with eminent domain, the government can take property for public use. All right, so they shouldn't be allowed to be taking property for private uses. Make that explicit. You can't just have a prohibition on takings of property for economic development reasons, because in that Federal Express case, for example, that taking was for private use, but it wasn't for economic development. It was for the alleged benefit of helping an airport. So there's an example of a taking and transferring the property to a private party with the alleged benefit of, kind of a public use somehow. So it's not an economic development taking. So you have to just prohibit private use, the takings for private use across the board. Also, you have to prohibit the government from doing any end runs around any type of prohibition. The government will often use blight laws and use the blight as a pretext for taking property for economic development. Third, just compensation. Make property owners whole.